I'm sure we all know who I'm talking about when I mention classic Disney princes and princesses. Princess Jasmine here has big round eyes, which typically show compassion and joy. Her lips show a gentle woman who imposes no threat, while still being strong and independent. People tend to connect to these characters through their childhood because they are viewed as nice, compassionate, gentle, noble, and helpful. Artist Saint Hoax, it was a pseudonym that was created to keep his identity hidden, grabs the attention of many when he creates these shocking images of classic Disney characters that are beaten, bruised, and bloodied. He has done two different versions of representing domestic violence through his art. Happy Never After, which focuses on females, and the males are presented through Prince Charmless. One recognizes the character, then they start to notice all the different way the character is bruised. They have a black eye, cuts on their cheek and lip, a bloody nose, and even the skin tone looks like they've lost their beautiful glow. That is when the gaze of the viewer moves to the message of the picture, letting victims know it's never too late to put an end to their abuse. It quickly becomes clear what has happened to the character, and usually this is when the viewer starts to feel affected. Someone they may have looked up to for several years in their childhood has experienced something so horrific and inhumane. This connection to Disney characters will hopefully work in a way to help the victims of domestic abuse realize it can happen to anyone, even if at one point they were happily ever after. After all, pictures almost seem as if princes and princesses are realizing for themselves that it's okay to get help for their situation. At the bottom of the picture, they ask either, "When did she stop treating you like a hero? Don't be ashamed to ask for help," for the male characters, or, "When did he stop treating you like a princess? It's never too late to put an end to it," for the female characters. In a personal interview I had with a victim of verbal violence and a witness to physical violence to other people in their lives, they said their initial reaction to these pictures is sickened. When I asked what they thought the message Saint Hoax was trying to get across, they said that they believe he's trying to get the point across that abuse is not biased. It doesn't matter your race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or anything. He's trying to say that people need to push these biases aside and treat the real issue at hand. And I believe that's a very common response to seeing these pictures. The lighter aspects of the image, like the background with an aura around the Disney character, their clothing and parts of their skin, and the bit of the eye that shines through the black eye, help contrast against the darker aspects, which were made by the abuser, and they work together to represent the pain the character has experienced. The picture is a very portrait-like shot of the character. They look tired, worn out, timid, and beaten. The characters are shown alone in a solitary fashion, and other victims of domestic violence may be able to connect more with these characters because it's typical for a victim of domestic violence to feel alone. It is not rare for people to try to avoid eye contact when they've been hurt, but looking into the eyes of these characters, you can almost feel their pain as if it were your own. They are looking directly to where a camera would be, ready to reach out and ask for help. Now, what was artist Saint Hoax trying to accomplish with his use of colors? The color red is often used as a color of blood and is connected to danger, power, strength, anger, and wrath. All of these characters are losing their blood, which means they could be getting weaker, being drained of their strength. The colors black and purple are shown in the bruising of the black eye in these pictures. The color black is typical of representing power, death, and evil. The abuser being the one who caused the black eye, it's safe to assume that we can think of their acts as evil and in the name of proving their power of the relationship. The dark purple color is typically known to cause feelings of frustration, gloom, and sadness. But frustration is not only caused by seeing the color, but just from seeing the recognizable Disney character in such a morphed way. The color blue is used here in the background as a whole color to keep the focus on what's happening in the picture. However, I think it's one of the most powerful meanings as far as the colors of these pictures go. The color blue is often associated with depth and stability. It symbolizes trust, loyalty, wisdom, confidence, intelligence, faith, truth, and it produces a calming effect. When thinking of the depth of the color, one can only think of the depth of the subject at hand. After all, domestic violence is not an issue that's typically brought up in small talk over lunch. These characters are showing wisdom and intelligence through the experience they have gone through. You can trust they know how hard it is, and because of that, they're credible. Other victims of domestic violence might be more confident to come forward about their intense experiences. That being said, using the color blue as a background color can help give the mind a breath of relaxation after processing something so extreme. Hercules is known as being one of the strongest men to ever live because he is the son of Zeus. He went through many trials and daunting tasks here on Earth with the promise that he could go live among the gods on Mount Olympus forever. He was known as the strongest man on Earth, and because of that he gained self-confidence and he was extremely courageous. But looking at these pictures, one can see that he seems just as affected by domestic violence as any other victim that's been exposed to this abuse. He has a black eye, cuts on his cheek and lips, a bloody nose, and even some road rash on his face and his neck. Saint Hoax's message comes across almost stronger in the Prince Charmless series because he included a character as iconic and heroic as Hercules. Needless to say, I think Saint Hoax got his message across that domestic violence is a very shocking act in our society today.